There are going to be times where you're going to want to add to an image using the painting tools. And the bitmap painting tools are in the tools panel. And that's what we're going to do in this exercise. We're sort of going to play with the painting tools. So to get yourself started, open up the draw.jpg image, and our friend the cow is back. And the painting tools, as I said, are up here in the tools panel. There's a paintbrush tool, there's a pencil tool, there's an eraser tool, and there are some edge tools here, which you can use to work with bitmaps. Now remember, these are all bitmaps. Okay, let's get started. Select the paintbrush tool, and you can see that the paintbrush tool is basically a stroke. If you come to the properties panel, you can see you can set the size of the stroke. You can set how that stroke looks, so you can choose any of the stroke options that are available to you off the PI. Let's try charcoal, pastel. You can set the edge. If you want to change the edge of this thing, you can make it a little bit smaller, a little bit larger. You can even put a texture in there. And all you do is you just click and drag across the area you want to paint over, and away you go. Okay, undo. The next tool is the pencil tool. This is kind of a neat little tool. What it does is it just basically draws lines. And the main feature of the pencil tool is that you can pick a color to paint with. So we'll just pick this red here, CC0000. And the blend modes reflect how the color of the pencil actually works with the color under it. So if we just go with normal and we've got that red, just draw a line across the cow. And you can see it's just a straight heads up red line. But if we come to the lighten mode right here and draw across, you notice it's a whole different color. So you can use the pencil tool to make edges and things like that. One of the primary uses really is to work with images. You can actually zoom right in and work at it at the pixel level. Okay, undo that and undo that. So it's Command Z twice. The next tool, of course, is the eraser tool. And the eraser tool does exactly what you think it does. It erases, and it's just a pen. And you see as I click and drag through, I get rid of a lot of the cow, and I can set the size of the eraser, the edge of the eraser, the shape of the eraser, and even how it works with transparency. Okay, let's undo that, Command Z. Now I'm going to change the transparency, we'll say down to 40%. And if I click and drag through, you can see that what it does is it fades the image to 40% transparency. Undo. Now, one of the things you've really got to understand about working with the eraser tool is that it only works on bitmaps. If you select the rectangular vector tool or the rectangle tool and just draw a rectangle, you'll notice that if you select the eraser tool, it tells you can't use it. And that's because it's a vector. If you see this, what you do is you select the layer in the Layers panel and come up to the Context menu and just say, look, flatten it. And that turns it from vectors into pixels. And if you select the eraser tool, you can see that you've got the eraser working here. Let's just make it a little bit more distinct. So there you go. That's the eraser tool. Okay, let's get rid of this layer. So select the bitmap layer, click the trash can. And finally, the blur, sharpen, dodge, burn, and smudge tools. Now, these are a lot of fun to work with. And what they do is they work with edges. So the blur tool allows me to not only blur the edge, but I can set the size. So if I take it out to 20 pixels, I'm going to blur 20 pixels out, you can see. And I'm going to zoom in here so you can actually see what's going on. You might want to try this yourself. So just zoom in on the shoulder, select the blur tool, and if you come along the edge, you can see that the pixelization on the edge is blurred out. So this is really good for those really strong edges. And you can choose the shape of the edge or the shape of the tool, and you can even choose its intensity. Okay, let's undo that, Command Z. The next tool, of course, is to sharpen, which does the exact opposite. It just brings them into sharper focus. You can see as I move across it, the pixels are really starting to come into focus. This really calls attention to pixels. It doesn't brighten them or bring them into more focus. It brings up their intensity, and it can be a rather dangerous tool. You zoom out, you notice that you've got this really bright edge here. You don't want that. So use this one very subtly. Undo. The dodge and the burn tool, these are photographic techniques. This underexposes, this overexposes. And the smudge tool is kind of fun. If you zoom in on the shoulder again, and you select the smudge tool, again you get the shape, but notice you get to choose a smudge color. So if I click and drag, I'm really smudging at the edges here. And the thing I love about this is that you can sort of give the cow some hair on its shoulder by using the smudge tool. And if we zoom out, double click the magnifying glass, you can see that what you've done is you've pushed the pixels in the shoulder out. Again, what you've got here is a very creative tool. Again, use it with a degree of subtlety. So in this exercise, what I've done is I've shown you how to use the paintbrush tool. I've shown you how to use the pencil tool, how to use the eraser tool. Eraser does not work on vector objects, so they've got to be flattened. And I've shown you how to creatively use the blur, the sharpen, the dodge, the burn, and the smudge tool in your drawing efforts.